everybody, it's Michelle and I'm doing another Arteza product review today. Today I'm going to be reviewing the watercolor pencils. These are a lot of fun, but I've been having a little bit of trouble learning to use them. I've taken a little bit more time leading up to this review than I normally would have. I'm new to watercolor pencils, so I wanted to make sure that I was using them correctly and that I had tried all different ways to use these. And I went ahead and stamped some images here that we're going to color so I can demonstrate the pencils for you guys today. And these are all just images from Technique Tuesday stamps. Just something I had on hand that was some large images we could color. Now I did stamp that with Memento ink, but after I did that I sealed it with a clear embossing powder. I don't know if you can see that. I put it in my Misty and I stamped with the Memento ink, and then I let that dry, and I stamped again with some Versamark ink and coated it with a clear embossing powder and heat set that. So there you can see a little bit of the shine on that embossed area. That way the Memento ink is sealed in. Otherwise it's going to bleed and run with your water because it is a water-based ink. And if you're stamping and you don't want to go through the trouble of heat embossing that to seal in your ink, then you might want to use an archival ink, StazOn or something like that. But I only had the Memento, so I needed to seal it first. And this is a set of 72 of the Arteza colored pencils. And I'll let you guys kind of see a little bit of the colors that are in there. There are a lot of beautiful colors. I'm going to go ahead and take the pens out and lay those out all across the top here so that I can get to all of my colors. And I really love those trays and this metal tin that comes with those. Wonderful storage. You don't have to worry about getting some raggedy packaging as you keep those over time. And I'm also going to be using my water pens, or my water brushes, I guess I should say, from Arteza as well. Let me zoom in down here a little bit for you guys. And I'm just going to show you guys some of the ways that I have tried using these. A few ways that I've tried, I've gotten really good results, and some I've gotten not so good results. But like I said, I am new to watercolor pencils, and I didn't want to give a bad review until I knew that I had tried all the ways. But I had a little bit of difficulty learning how to use these and trying to get the result that I wanted. And I just really love the idea of watercolor pencils. I love to color with colored pencils anyway. And these can help give you that watercolor look. Smooth everything out. And what I'm going to do here is just lightly color on. And I'm really just scratching it in there. And then I'm going to add another color. Maybe try to do a little bit of blending. And I'm just going to take my Arteza water brush pen, and I've got a napkin off to the side where I can just make sure my water's flowing like I want it to be. And then just start moving that around. And you can see those two colors blended together pretty good. You can wipe it off to the side and then come back And my issue with these at first was that it seems to move most of the color away, like it almost erases it. And I didn't like that. I'll bring that up to the camera and show you guys if that'll come into focus. You can see the ones that I've added the water to are really much smoother, and the colors are blending together pretty good. But maybe I just wasn't putting it on heavy enough at first, that it was kind of taking away my color like that. And like I said, I'm practicing and learning how to use them. And you can put more water if you want to really move that color around. And I think that right there is actually a very pretty result. I like that there. But I did use a lot of water to get that look, so that's going to have to dry for quite a while. And those heat embossed lines everywhere the black is really helps to sort of make a barrier that the color can't go past, and that helps to keep from the sections bleeding into each other. So I'm trying to put that color down a little heavier this time. I'm going to choose another blue color here, sort of a teal. And I'm just scratching a little bit into each area and then moving it around with the water. And I think that's a pretty good result. That's very pretty. And then I'm going to try to do some dark into light sort of shading on the leaves down here on this hydrangea. And again, I'm coloring over these raised lines that I've put the clear embossing powder on. But if you had Cezanne ink or some sort of archival ink, then you could just go right over your stamped image. And then I'm going to put this lighter color out to the tip there. And see if I can get some blending on the leaves. And I guess at first I thought with watercolor, I just really expected it to have a lot of pigment, but the key I have found is to color in as much pigment as you're going to want. It's just a little different from the real brush pen markers in the fact that with those you can just lay down a little bit and you can take that little bit of ink and drag it a long way, and it'll really spread with pretty intense color. But with the pencils, you really have to put down about as much pigment as you're going to want it to have overall, and then the water just helps you to smooth it and blend it. And I have also discovered another way to use these that I think helps it to work pretty good too, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. And you see I can pull that water and just kind of move that color out of my way and come back, and see then I can soften it up a little bit that way. And then I think I actually got a pretty good blend on that leaf. I'm much happier with them than I thought I was going to be. I'm glad that I gave myself a little more time to play around with them and figure out how to use them before that initial reaction. So if you guys have used watercolor pencils before, you're going to know more about that and maybe have a little more experience to know how to go into that. But if you are new to it like me, don't get discouraged when it doesn't work out for you just quite right straight off the bat. Play with them a little bit, try them different ways, and you'll find new ways to make that work for you. And watercolor in any form is really a lot of play, a lot of move-in time, and a lot of maneuverability in that. You can really have too much color in one place, you can move it away, you can dab it with a paper towel and take off even a majority of the color. And there are so many different things as you play with watercolors that you'll figure out you can do. And I'm going to show you now another way that I figured out to use it. These that I've shown you so far with the butterfly and the leaf are a very bold color look that I was going for there. But what I want to show you now is if you're wanting a little more softer of a look, more of a watery watercolor look, then you can scribble it off to the side here and sort of get a diluted color before you ever take it to the paper. I think I'll get a brown here for that. I'm going to scribble on some browns, and I'm just sort of making a little like a paint palette almost for myself over here. And I'm going to color some heavy spots of color here. And let's see. That one's a little too red. Let's try this soft one here, burnt ochre. And then clean off my water brush over here on my napkin. And then I can just drop some water in there. And move those colors around. And then I can get a lighter amount of color and just bring that in. And when I've diluted it first, I'm going to get a much lighter look on my project over here. And you can see how light that is. That's almost like a peachy skin tone. So I'm going to come here and get some of this dark chocolate brown and bring that in. And you can see there how that's given a much softer look if you don't want dark, vibrant color like I did here. That is one thing that I really love about watercolor is you can absolutely choose your intensity. And that allows you to take one color and do so many different looks with it, and you can look like you had a whole bunch of different colors to work with when really it was just the one. And I'm just going to color some pinks and blues and purples just around randomly, well, not on the leaf, around randomly on my hydrangea, because hydrangeas, depending on the acidity level of the soil, they can be pink, blue, purple, and everything in between. And I thought this was a really good image to use for this. I'm going to lay that color down a little darker in those areas. But I thought this was a really good image to use for the watercolor because we can blend those pinks and blues and purples. And that soft, blendy watercolor look is going to be perfect for a hydrangea. And by the way, this is the Arteza watercolor paper that I'm using also. And I will leave links for you guys for all of these products if you want to give them a try. And I have smeared my green paint around everywhere. See if I can lift that back up with some water. And now some pink. I think a little bit brighter of a pink than that. And there's really no rhyme or reason to my color placement here, because I'm just going for that fadey hydrangea look where one color just bleeds right into the next. And I've just kind of got that scribbled and scratched onto there. And then we're going to see what we can do when we add water. And I want to kind of try to control my water brush a little bit. I don't want to completely puddle it all together. And some of those colors are actually a little too dark, and I can just lift that. If it's a little on the wet side, I can just lift that right up and dab it off on my napkin to get a little bit of a softer, more hydrangea look. And I'm trying to sort of pull in from the edges so that I don't get outside the lines of my flower and cause my color to bleed out. So there is my hydrangea. And I just have to say, I love, love, love the way those colors blend together. I think that is gorgeous. And I'm going to try to keep from touching it and allow that to dry naturally, because I don't like to heat set. It kind of blows it around a little bit, and I just love the way those are just as is, and I want them to dry just like that. I'm going to try to turn this way so I can get to my strawberry here without touching that. And we're going to see what can happen with a vibrant color like red. And I'm going to get rose red. And let's see. I think I'm going to scribble these off to the side and see what they look like. Rose red, yeah, rose red I like. Crimson. Carmine. I think I'm going to go with crimson and rose red. Crimson is a little bit darker of a red. And I want to color the majority of my strawberry in that color. And again, I'm laying the color down kind of heavy. I want a bold, vibrant color. And I'm going to put the rose red, which is a lighter, a little bit orangey type of red, in the middle where a highlighted spot would be. And I'm going to leave that spot up in the corner where it might be a little underripe and white up there. I'm going to get some water and start blending these out. You know, even if you do have an archival ink, I suggest doing it this way with the embossing, because it does sort of serve as a little wall around the border of your image and keeps, or helps keep it from bleeding out anyway past your image. And that was just diluted watery color out to the edge there. It is giving a much lighter look. And I can probably come back in and lift a lot of that, leaving a really underripe sort of highlighted area there. Move my color around here. And I'm going to see on my other one here, I'm going to use just the rose red. It's a little bit warmer of a red, more of an orangey look. And I think that's good for a very ripe strawberry. And see what we can do with that. Move it just to the edges. It smooths everything out. You don't see scratchy colored pencil looking sort of areas. And you can pull that color to make thinner areas and darker areas. Lift some of that color out. On the smaller strawberry, it's not going to be quite ripe yet, so we can lift that color. And one more thing that I want to show you guys is in this strawberry blossom here, just at the inside of these white petals, there's a little bit of yellow way down in there, and a deeper sort of orangey yellow in the very center of the flower. And you can use these just as colored pencils and just color directly with them. But I really like the fact that they are watercolor and you can move that color around. Okay, now I'm going to get a clean drop of water here. And I'm going to get a little bit of that on my brush and move that yellow around. And I'm going to lift most of that back out. just to give a slight hint of that yellowy glow to the middle of those flower petals. Wet that and pull it. I'm tapping my water off of my brush over here so that I can lift this water that's on my paper. And if not enough of it is lifting, just apply more water. You can come back and lift that color with it. And then you can get a very soft yellow glow in the center of your white flower. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. I'm really happy with these in the long run, and I'll just be honest with you guys, I really didn't think I was going to be, but it's just a matter of playing around and getting comfortable with them and getting a feel for how these colors move. So I'm happy to say that I do recommend these after all. I appreciate a challenge, and I love trying new things that I haven't tried before. But you know that with a new project that you've never done before, there's always a learning curve. And I think the problem was with me being new to it and just needing to get a feel for how to use these colors. So there will be links in the description below to where you guys can get these if you want to try them out too. And I think I'm just going to finish coloring in my images.